G'day there, and welcome to the last session. My name is Michael Sheedy, and I'm joined by Tommy Flanagan to go through what was an amazing start for the Australian women T20 World Cup campaign as they annihilated New Zealand on Saturday night, early Sunday morning. It was a 4 a.m. kickoff. Tommy, I do believe you may have caught a little bit of action there.
Yeah, I was up for the first 2/3 of the game, but fell asleep. It's been up for a few hours at that point, but it's a terrific performance by the Australians, the Southern Stars. They were outstanding from start to finish, and in all disciplines of the game they dominated. New Zealand did show resistance at periods throughout the game, but they were outclassed by the brilliant Australian batting lineup and a terrific bowling lineup as well.
Yeah, and you mentioned about the Aussies. Obviously, the strength is their batting. Absolutely. They're obviously an amazing bowling lineup as well. But the depth. Healy back into international cricket. Meg Lanning got an early start, which was a bit unusual. That's needless to say. In that Beth Mooney missed out for the first time that we can all remember by an amazing catch at backward point off the New Zealand superstar Leah Tahu.
Yeah, it was a great start for New Zealand. They got off to a bit of a flyer, huge strike at the start, as you mentioned, picking up the Belinda Clark medalist Beth Mooney. That wasn't the start that Australia wanted. It's a great outswinger, and Beth thought it was in the driving slot, but swung late, caught the outside edge, and it was an unbelievable catch from Eden Carson in her very first T20 World Cup match. So great start for New Zealand, but in this Aussie lineup, you need more than one strike because there's a lot more batting to come. And then Meg Lanning and Alyssa Healy got together and just started smacking boundaries to all corners of the ground, built a really formidable partnership, completely took control of the momentum of the game for the next 9 overs. They were a class above those two.
Yeah, they set it up. They put on, I think it was 70 very, very quickly. Yeah, 70 in 8 overs or 9 overs. So Meg back to her best, 41 off 33. But Alyssa was absolutely elite, as we expect from the world-class bats person that she is. 55 off 38, 9 boundaries.
It's so good to see those two together in full flight
is.
again. Meg's had the layoff for a little while. Now she's back and
seeing those calf.
Yeah, Alyssa had the calf. Missed the Pakistan T20 series just gone. So great to have those two back together at the top of the order.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. And then you've got obviously Gardner, who a lot of touting as the best player in the competition for the T20 World Cup. She did miss out with the bat, but then all of a sudden you've got Perry, Harris, McGrath. McGrath's number 1 in the world, mate.
She's batting at 7.
Yeah, and Perry's just, one of the best players to have ever played. Elise Perry's hitting over cover and mid-off was just absolutely superb against their best bowler in Amelia Kerr, who she did succumb to with an unbelievably good wrong-un. But Amelia Kerr was probably the shining light yet again for New Zealand. 3 for 23, bowled particularly well.
Yeah, and she's just all class. She's been one of the best leggers in the world since she was 14.
Yeah.
And still dominating and will continue to for many years. I'm sure she's going to be taking hauls of wickets all throughout this T20 World Cup. But unfortunately for her team, couldn't get them over the line the other night against Australia.
So Australia post 9 for 173. And, obviously New Zealand have some trump cards at the top in regards to Bates and Devine.
Yeah.
Just talk us through the start there for them.
Oh, Megan Schutt knocked them both over for Golden Ducks in the first over.
Yep.
Schutt, she's just such a pro with the new rock. Seen it time and time again for many years. In the Pakistan series just gone, she took the 5 for in the first game.
Yep.
She's been in unbelievable form and started this World Cup. Couldn't have started it any better there. Getting out Bates and Devine, that's
the game.
The dream start that you want against New Zealand, and so 2 for none after a couple of balls.
The New Zealand coach would have possibly have avoided both girls, I would have thought, after they'd hit the rooms. But Bates's dismissal to Megan Schutt, trying what was you call
strange shot, wasn't it?
Not a lap sweep, but it was like a paddle sweep first ball that she faced. Very uncharacteristic.
Yeah, well, it's actually second ball because there was 4 wides on the first ball.
Yes.
First ball, but first legitimate delivery that she'd faced. Yeah, she played it as down on one knee, sort of trying to slog over to square leg. It was a bit of a brain explosion. I don't think you can sort of frame it any other way. So she'll be disappointed with that, and going into their next game, I'm sure she'll have a bit more application in the first over that she faces.
Absolutely, and look, to be honest, the White Ferns were never in the game. Australia taking wickets at regular intervals. But Amelia Kerr, yet again, with the bat, was she had the complete game for them without, she posted 21 and she was the only real shining light in their batting lineup.
Yeah, after Bates and Devine both got out to short in the first over, it was Bernadine Bezuidenhout and Amelia Kerr, who you just mentioned, starting a little bit of a mini revival. But then Perry got her first strike. It was a good catch from Darcy Brown. Got referred to the third umpire as it was pretty close to the ground. Wasn't sure whether she had her hands underneath it. Third umpire adjudicated that she did. And from that moment on, that was it. It was always going to be tough for New Zealand. Their heads dropped and it was an absolute procession from there. Ash Gardner put on an absolute demolition job, lovely flight and dip, changes the pace, going through the gate and wrapping on the pads of regularity, and New Zealand batters crumbled to be all out for 76. So it's a comprehensive performance in the end.
Absolutely. The shining lights were definitely Megan Sheed at the top, but Darcy Brown, the young quick, she is something to watch. 4 overs, 1 for 7, I think, or 1 for 11, sorry. She bowled particularly well, and on the South African wickets, I think she'll be a handful. And then, Gardner, you spoke about 5 for 12. And I was reading an article just on cricketaustralia.com.au just earlier today, and it was about how she battled, since the Australia Day game and the social media abuse that she copped, which is just inexcusable for any person to be copping such abuse online. And we know it happens, but kudos for her for coming out and standing her ground and making the statement, and the rest of the girls behind her. But mate, she said there were some dark days. And for her to come out, she just looked like a relieved person when she was out in the ground, away from it all. What was your take on it?
Yeah, well, I happy to be with her teammates, going to another part of the world, and, you're all together in that team environment, and they'd just be loving spending time together. So I'm sure that's been a nice relief for Ash after what she went through with that. About a month ago, a couple
of weeks ago.
A couple of weeks ago, yeah.
Yeah, a bit sad to hear that. But Australia set themselves up particularly well now to go into their next game, which I think is in a couple of days.
Tomorrow night, Wednesday morning, 4 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time against Bangladesh. Yes. Aussies will be firm favourites to win after Bangladesh got smashed by Sri Lanka this morning. Yes. It was Oshadi Ranasinghe's 3 for 23 of the new ball and 104-run partnership between Harshitha Madhavi and Nilakshi De Silva, and there was too much for Bangladesh to handle. But Australia will have to be wary of 18-year-old Marufa Akhtar, who bowled beautifully in her first T20 World Cup match last night with her right-arm fast-medium swingers. Her opening spell last night, she picked up 3 Sri Lankan wickets in 5 balls, had 3 for none to her name after her first 7 deliveries.
Wow.
But from that point on, Sri Lanka took control of the game. But we will have to watch out for 18-year-old Marufa, who was very impressive.
Looking forward to it, Tommy. Thank you very much for joining us on the last session. We will be back in regards to our review of the World Cup games later on this week, as well as the preview for Australia versus India in Delhi up there. So we look forward to catching up with you then. Look out for England in the last session also, as the New Zealanders take on England over there in New Zealand later this week also. So that'll be for our TNF Cricket UK viewers. But for now, thank you very much for joining the last session. My name's Michael Sheedy. This is Tommy Flanagan. We'll catch up with you later in the week.